There are many things that exist beyond the realm of human experience. Two very common examples are light and sound. We can see light and hear sounds only within a certain range of frequency, but they exist beyond that. According to modern scientists as well as ancient Indian knowledge, the universe started with a sound. Sound carries energy, and the same energy manifests itself into various life forms. So why not energy centers, the chakras, can exist beyond the periphery of common human experience, above our sahasrar and below our Mooladhara? Don't you think there are people around us who we think are worse than animals? Unfortunately, quite frequently, we hear news of people committing crimes so heinous that we wonder how can someone even think of doing such things. But they not only do it, they enjoy watching people in fear and pain they inflict upon them. They are the people whose energy dwells even below the lowest chakra of the human realm, which is the Mooladhara chakra. Their energy resides in chakras that are present in the legs. There are 7 such chakras, collectively called as Tal chakras, Patal being the lowest one. The Sanskrit word Tal means bottom. The dimension where the Tal chakras are experienced is called Nark, literally translated as hell. Hell and heaven are not places beyond this planet as some people believe. How one conducts and experiences life makes it his hell or heaven. People who are extremely selfish, jealous, and those who seek their pleasure in inflicting pain to others, or those who have such uncontrolled sexual desires that they don't even spare even small children and animals, are the examples of such people. What a hell of life would it be if a person is controlled by his own obsessions and compulsions, isn't it? The other name given to the chakras is Lok. And so, I find it interesting to think that those who we call the demons of Patal Lok in ancient times were actually the people whose energy remained centric in these lower chakras. Today's terrorists and criminals probably belong to the same category. Contrary to that, there are 7 chakras above the human realm. And those who have their energies centered in those chakras are the Devas, or people residing in Devlok, heaven. They are those who live a contented, blissful life above the bondage of desires. But here, do not confuse Devas or Devtas with the Supreme Consciousness, the Almighty God. Now, there are categories in the Tal and Dev chakras as well, but I'll not go into that detail right now. So back to the human realm, most of us experience our energy in the 7 major chakras we talked about in the last episode. The base being at the Mooladhara and the highest level at the Sahasrar. The 3 chakras below the Anahat chakra, which is the center of these 7, connect us with the physical world, and the upper 3 make us experience the higher, subtle existence. In order for our consciousness to rise towards the cosmic consciousness, the pranic energy or the Shakti has to flow upwards, starting her journey from the Mooladhara. It's just like taking a river back to her source of origin, following the same path which she used to descend. It's definitely not an easy task, right? It's a slow, systematic, guided process. But yes, understanding any concept logically to its core is the first step towards realizing it. And that's the aim of my podcast. We need to understand that in order for our energy to be uplifting, we have to handle the most basic needs of our life first. No matter how high your status is in your workplace or society, if you are denied food and water, your status won't matter anymore. When we move higher up the stairs, we forget the importance of the first step. But imagine if someone pulls that first step out, we will collapse. At the same time, if out of greed people remain limited to only the basic needs of eating, drinking, and fulfilling their desires, then also they won't be able to enhance their experience of life. To reach the top, we cannot avoid the first step of the stairs. But if we stay stuck at it because it looks so beautiful, then also we will not reach the top. So it's foolish to ignore or suppress your needs, but be careful when they become your greed. And that's why it's important for us to live a more conscious life. Surprisingly, when I read Maslow's theory of human needs, it also seemed to follow the same path, from fulfilling the basic needs to reaching the state of self-realization. I don't know whether he was inspired by the Chakras theory or not, but I think any logical person would roughly draw the same opinion about life. Now, there is another way of describing the influence of chakras. We briefly talked about the aspects of management and execution when I described the dualities of life in one of the previous episodes. Management being a higher, subtle, and passive aspect, and execution being a lower, gross, and dynamic aspect. So, pretty logically, the higher level of chakras govern our management and planning aspect because it's subtle in nature, and the lower level of chakras govern our execution aspect. Well, that doesn't mean your boss in office has his higher chakras activated and is close to getting the nirvana or moksha, liberating you as well. I'm talking about the management and execution aspects in every individual. We all plan and we all execute. If you are a dreamer and make fantastic plans but don't execute them, or if you are a hard worker but don't plan properly before doing anything, then you know where the problem might be. Now let's talk a bit about the energy channels, the Nadis. When the pranic energy, the life force, moves down from the Sahasrara chakra to the Mooladhara, its path is along our spinal column. But it's not a straight line. It comes down in 3 streams or channels of energy, one in the center called Sushumna and the other 2 on either side of the spine, flowing in a spiral path like a spiral wind chime. The one that originates at the left side is called the Ida Nadi and the one on the right is called the Pingla Nadi. In the 4th episode, we also talked about the impact of these energy channels on the opposite sides of our brain, right? So the Ida Nadi affects the right side of our brain, which governs our feminine characteristics such as creativity, love, passion, artistic nature, and the Pingla governs our left hemisphere or our masculine characteristics such as power, strength, courage, aggression. Is it logical to say that the masculine characteristics are related to the heating effect and feminine characteristics are related to cooling? It is, right? When you are in anger, your body heats up and your blood pressure rises. So literally as well, the Ida Nadi, which governs the feminine aspect, brings coolness in your body. And the Pingla, associated to masculine attributes, generates heat. Their balance not only just balances the temperature in the body, but also your characteristics. And that's why when we practice alternate nostril breathing, the Anulom Vilom Pranayam, it brings balance to us. Just a small tip here, if any time you feel your body is heating up because of weather or a high blood pressure or you are in anger, just block your right nostril and breathe through the left 8 to 10 times and see the effects. And if you feel too cold due to extreme temperature, do the opposite. But don't do it more than 10 to 20 times unless you are well aware of the practice and conscious enough of the changes occurring in your body. The Sushumna Nadi in the center represents balance, and those periods of the day when you breathe equally with both the nostrils are the periods when the Sushumna path is active. Ida and Pingla Nadis merge into Sushumna at the Ajya Chakra, in the brain behind the center of the forehead. Their confluence indicates that the dualities that these nadis were governing cease to exist once the energy reaches the Ajya Chakra. That's why Lord Shiva, whose Ajya Chakra is highly activated, is shown in the ArdhNarishwar form. Half of him is shown as a male and the other half as a female in a pictorial representation. In reality, it indicates that he is the one who has raised himself to a perfect balance. No duality exists in him. May he bless the whole bird with balance. In the next episode, we'll talk about the Panch Pranas, the 5 major types of life energy in our body, governing different physical areas and subtle aspects. Stay tuned and have a nice time.